Hi, welcome to Mrs. Park's Algebra 1 class. This is Chapter 6, Lesson 2, Substitution. Okay, so when will we use substitution? Alright, so if you have two movies that are released at the same time, and movie A earned 31 million in its opening week, but fell to 15 million the following week. Movie B opened earning 21 million and fell to 11 million the following week. If the earnings for each movie continue to decrease at the same rate, when will they earn the same amount? So in this kind of scenario, we'll use substitution. Okay, you can use system of equations to find when the movie earnings are the same. One method of finding an exact solution of a system of equations is called substitution. So in the previous section, we learned how to solve by using graphing. This means if you had a graph of two equations, so they said they're both falling, decreasing. Okay, so the point where they meet is actually what we're looking for. Okay, so if we were to graph, these two equations, okay, where they meet is where they have the same rate, and that's what we're looking for here. So today, when we learn about substitution, instead of graphing it, is there a way we can find out where those two meet? Okay, and that's called substitution. All right, so how do you solve by substituting? So in general, when you hear the word substitution, like if Mrs. Park is out because she's sick and she has a substitute teacher, that means substitute means you place one for another. Okay, so you're replacing one for another. So keep that in mind. Okay, so when necessary, solve at least one equation for one variable. Substitute the resulting expression from step 1 into the other equation to replace the variable. Then solve the equation. Substitute the value from step 2 into either equation and solve for the other variable. Write the solution as an ordered pair. Okay. So this may not make sense right now, but when we go over an example, it'll make a lot more sense. Once you start doing some examples, it's a good idea to go back to this part of the textbook where it has the key concept and the 3 steps that you need to make sure that you are following all the proper steps. Alright, so it'll make more sense when we go over this example. Solve a system by substitution. Alright, so you have two equations here. You have y equals 2x plus 1, and you have 3x plus y equals negative 9. Okay, so use substitution to solve the system equations. Step 1, one equation is already solved for y equals. Okay, so we're going to use this substitute. That means replace it for y in the second equation. So since it's telling us y equals 2x plus 1, then instead of this y here, I'm going to substitute it with 2x plus 1. Okay, so that means you have 3x. Instead of y, you're going to use 2x plus 1, replace it, equals negative 9. So here now you have some like terms. 3x plus 2x becomes 5x. Okay, that's all you did here. And then we're going back to how to solve for x. And this is a two-step equation. Subtract 1 on each side. Now divide by 5 on each side. And you have x equals negative 2. Okay, so that's the first part. You have answer 2. Okay, remember, if you go back, it says give answer as an ordered pair. Ordered pairs are x and y form. Okay, remember, it's just like the alphabet, W, X, Y, and Z. It's x comes before the y. All right, so x is negative 2, and now I just need to find out what y is. All right, so again, we're going to use substitution again. So instead of an x, I'm going to put negative 2. You have two choices here. You can put your negative 2 here or there. Okay, I would prefer to put in the first one because it's already in y equals. So y equals, instead of x, you have negative 2. So 2 times negative 2 plus 1. You simplify this. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, plus the 1 is negative 3. So now you have y equals negative 3, which is the second part of my ordered pair. And there's your complete answer. Negative 2, oops, it was negative 3. So negative 2 and negative 3 is the solution. Okay, so that means when you graph these two equations, it meets at one point, and that point is negative 2 and negative 3. Okay, you can check your answers by graphing and see if they do meet, in fact, at that point. Okay, you can use a graphing calculator for this and find an intersection of the two graphs and see if it comes out to be -2 and -3. Alright, so here's your turn, number 1 and 2. This means you take out a sheet of paper and you label it, and you write down your name and numbers 1 and 2, solve for x and y. Okay, remember it's going to be x, y in order paired that you're going to give answers for each number. Okay, if you're not sure, make sure you rewind the video and look back at the example 1 that we just did, and then complete your number 1 and 2 and come back when you're done. Okay, welcome back. All right, we're going to move on to example 2, solve and then substitute. All right, so the previous example was easy because it was already in y equals form. Okay, so here you don't see, they're not making it easy for you. They're not saying x equals this and y equals that, but we can definitely make this so that it looks like x equals, okay, by simply subtracting 2y on each side. So when you do that, you have x equals -2y plus 6. Now I can substitute this x here. Instead of an x, I'm going to put all of this and replace it with this x. Okay. So that was step 2. So instead of the x, you put, and then here they put it backwards. 6 minus 2y is the same thing as -2y plus 6. All right. And you have your substitution. Now you need to simplify by doing our distributive property here. So 3 times 6, 18, minus 3 times 2y, 6y. All right. Next step, you're going to combine the like terms. You have -6y minus 4y becomes -10y. Okay, that's all they did here from this step to here. Now we're going to solve for y by subtracting 18 on each side to get rid of the 18 here. Now you have -10y equals 10. Divide by -10 on each side, and you have y equals -1. All right, so my answer, that's the y part, that's the second part, so of the ordered pair. So -1 is the y. Now, here's where you have a choice. You can put your -y either here or there. Okay, it really doesn't matter because you'll still get the same answer. If I choose, like the textbook did, to put it here, so instead of y, you put -1. So now you have x minus 2 equals 6. Add 2 to each side, and you have 8 as x. So your answer is 8 and -1. Okay. Oops. So here's your turn, number 3 and 4. So on that same paper that you worked on numbers 1 and 2, go ahead, do numbers 3 and 4. Make sure you show all your work for your credit for your homework tomorrow. Okay, so go ahead and do numbers 3 and 4. Give your answer as an order pair x and y. And come back. So pause the video, do numbers 3 and 4, and come back when you are done. All right, welcome back. So here's example 3, when there's going to be no solutions or infinitely many solutions. Okay, so when you do substitution and you go through all the steps, so you put 2x minus 4 instead of y. Okay, and we did that. You use the distributive property, you combine like terms, you simplified, and you come to an answer that looks kind of weird, and that's -12 equals -12. Yeah, -12 does equal -12, but it's not telling me what x and y equals. So when you have answers like this, the statement is an identity, thus there are an infinite number of solutions. Okay, so when you have something that comes across equals and they do make sense, -12 does equal -12, then you have infinite number of solutions. Okay. Oh, okay. The textbook didn't explain this, but when you have something that looks like -12 equals 5, and that's not true, so that means there's no solution. Okay, so there's 2 possible scenarios here. When you have equals and they are in fact equal, then you have infinite number of solutions. When you have something like this, the answer is not equal, and when they say it's equal, then that is definitely a no solution. Okay, so we have come to the end of our lesson. So go ahead and try numbers 5 and 6. Okay, Tell me if there's a solution, there's no solution, or there's infinite number of solutions. Um, and once you're done with number 5 and 6, you're done with the homework tonight. So make sure you write down your name, put your homework in your book bag tonight so you can get credit for it for tomorrow morning. Okay? All right. Well, thanks for watching.